Today, I kind of took a curve in where we were going to go with this because I was inspired by a video that Jennifer Funnel sent, and I'm going to post that video. It's an artist who works only in, she works in, she makes journal pages out of ledger, out of old ledgers, and she creates these incredible drawings using just simple things like these types of stencils, just plain stencils and a pencil, and that's it pretty much. It's pretty incredible. But I wanted to just share with you my little experience this week with the prompts that we had. And this is kind of why it sort of went into that, where it's going today. But the thing about the message on the sidewalk, I had this image of a woman, and I had it was stenciled on, and the paper got so wrinkled, I ended up tearing out the page, because this is pretty thick paper. I tore out the page, and I had cut out the image, and I did I rubbed off the extra paper, kind of an interesting process, but I was able to glue it back on. And then now I've created a collage. So this image actually was on another page, and I glued it back on. So that's kind of where there's, like, when you have a boo-boo or something that you just think, oh no, it's not going anywhere. There's ways to save it. And this one I think is finished now, this page. And now the other one, I don't even remember, I covered all the stuff up, but I was kind of sad about being stuck indoors. I felt like my house was either a prison or a sanctuary, just depending on the mood of the day. It's been since March 15th. No, actually, the end of February. I think the last time I went out was with my friends. Leah was one of them. My best friends, we had lunch. That was the last time I've been out with anybody, and last time I've seen anyone except for my own husband. So I started to write some kind of sad things, and then I just started covering it up. And I just thought, well, no, I expressed it. Now it's time to let it go. So I wrote this mad woman trying to bury her feelings once and for all. And that was kind of, this is a collaged piece, but I kind of feel this is finished, even though it's sort of sad, but it's actually, I like the image, so it's okay. I'll just move on. I finished it by just doing a little, how I kind of finish it and I tie it together is I just took a little pen and sketched around, and that's just kind of finishes it, because especially with these pages, as they're kind of messy, so that kind of says, okay, you're done, well, move on. So that's kind of what I did with that. Then I just did some gesso last week, black gesso, to kind of get ready for doing some things, probably with metallic watercolors, which we'll be doing. And also I have room to do an image transfer, which I'm going to show you today using a solvent. That's the first thing I'll show you. But this is where I kind of got crazy. This is where Jennifer, Miss Funnel, she had kind of got me started. This is using a stencil. First, I'll let you know, I primed it with, it's a watercolor medium. I was planning to do a watercolor, and it's titanium buff Daniel Smith watercolor medium. I primed that first, and then I let it dry. 24 hours is good. And I was going to do some pretty leaves, but I got this thing, that video, and I'll share it. Like I said, I'll share it. And what she uses are just plain stencils, and she'll even take a stencil like, instead of just using it as a stencil, like as is, she just takes basic shapes and repeats. So, and I'll do a demo on how she did that today. But this is kind of what I had done. I made the little circles, and then I did watercolor in these little spaces, in the circle spaces, and shaded. Now today, if you have time today at 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, Jen is going to be teaching a class on shading. If you haven't signed up, I'm going to come, because I shaded with graphite in this, but I think I would like to just hone my shading skills. The only thing it took me hours to do this, because all I had was this little 3mm tiny little drafting pencil. So, I just kind of went in there, and it took a lot of time to get here. So I'd like to do her shading class today and play with that. And same thing, I would like to be able to shade some spheres and things like that. So today, if you do have a circle template, or even if you don't have a circle template, any type of stencil you could use like any part of a stencil, or if you don't have a stencil, you can even just create shapes using little, anything you have that's circular, lids, little small areas, something that you can trace around to make your circles. And so I wanted to just share with you, this was all about the way the politics that are going on, and I'm just kind of, I won't even, it's just not part of the prompt, but I did have for my prompt, oh, here we go, this one. For the prompt that, it's in here, let's see. I had talked about, remember, there is no control. So this was about, there is no control is in here, but you can, I wrote about embracing the imperfect circle of life. There is no control over outcomes as a living being grows. Everyone will go around their circle and no one really knows how big or small their circle will be. So I just basically talk about, basically it's the circle of life. And with this, I used oil pastels. I scribbled and did no control with the scribbles. We talked about, I think Tony mentioned how the scraping down medium, you felt there was no control. And that's so true with sometimes, you know, some of our artwork feels like it's out of control, but you can kind of, you know, you could take that busyness and simplify. So that's what I did with this. Starting, and this is not finished, but I did again, I did black ink, Higgins Black Magic ink. It's wonderful. It's pigmented over oil pastels. I tried it over colored pencils with this, and that's, you can see I couldn't scratch off like I could with this. So I did like a scratch art thing where I tried it with colored pencils. It wouldn't rub off at all, but with the oil pastels, it did. So that was a really fun technique to do, and just gave me a lot of joy doing it. So with this, you can see I took, like if I were to continue, which I do want to continue, is I'm taking this is actually just the back of a watercolor brush, one of those little scrapey things, and I could just go, and I can go inside and create this circle I can trace just to lift that color off. Now this actually, I had painted over this maybe a couple of days ago, and it's still very easy to scratch off that color with the black. So you can see now I've got a new circle, and then I can just keep going with the circles as I'm just really into this circle thing right now, and it's crazy, but I'm doing it. It's fun. And it gives, you know, I love the circle. There's so many things you can, you know, invoke memories of with the circle. The other thing is if you were to use just a stencil, instead of trying to make a picture with the stencil, I can actually create just using the same, I could use, let's say I want to just use this one. I'm going to just use the same shape. You can do this with a pencil if you want as well. I can use the same shape and just repeat it over and over. And I'll get a really amazing, I'll get a pretty incredible pattern. And I'm recreating new art with the stencil. So it's not even recognizable as a stencil anymore, you know, or a company's design. You've got your own art that you're creating with a stencil. So that's kind of another way to utilize stencils that you may not use otherwise because it's just isn't your style, or it's just not, you know, just not doing anything for you. This is really a pretty amazing way to just repeat designs. And then you can start to, with this, I need to do some lightening. So I probably will go with a white pen. I'll start working the design, but that just wanted to kind of let you know how that was. So today, though, I wanted to share image transfers because we talked about that. And this one I did this journal page. This was one of from a couple of weeks ago, but I had written some, I remember when we were the free writing, I wrote some stories underneath and then I covered it. This page isn't completely finished, but it's getting there. And I did an image transfer with a laser copy using a solvent-based pen. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And I also will show you how to do an image transfer using gel medium. So we're going to do that. And then I just wanted to show you some rubbings. So if you have a thinner page journal, and I'll start with the rubbing because there's not a lot of, it's just a pencil and a stencil. So I've got this stencil here, and I'll show you, this is the same one, it's a face. It's just this face here. You can see it's what's nice about these stencils, if you have thin enough paper, it doesn't work for the thicker papers as well, but it does work, but just not as well. And I'll show you the difference. So I'm just going to put my stuff under here so I can go crazy. And then I'm going to grab a pencil. And this is just a ebony, jet black, Prismacolor ebony. It's a very dense, I don't know what the softness is, but it's really dark and really dramatic. And I just love this pencil. You can see now I'm getting graphite all over me, all over myself, but I just want to show you when you're doing a rubbing, and this would be a rubbing, let's say you're at I know graveyard rubbings or just different places where there's textures, you know, a tree, a rock. You can take rubbings, take your journal, if you have a thin paged one, and you can just create rubbings of anything, anything that has a texture. So this one, just so you can see, I'm just taking it on its side, and I'm just going to rub, and I'll just pick up, it's going to highlight or low light the areas where my pencil is, and it will pick up the design, and just keep going and going in different directions. As long as you just hold your stencil still underneath and not let it shift, then you're going to get a really nice image. You're going to get a very nice shadow. Like I can see the edge of it's like a little line right here where the edge of the stencil is. And I may just like stop there and then use a pencil to kind of enhance that. But you can see how that texture, and it just gives a really beautiful texture. That, I'll just stop right there. And then what I could do is then I could take my pencil and I could just highlight, just take that and bring that, just get that shape of the face that's there. And just beautiful, beautiful profile of a face, and just kind of enhance. And this is where I want to play in Jen's class today, doing some shading. So try the different things. I'm sure there's really fun techniques that she's going to share. So I am ready for that. But then this can, right here, as I see my page, I've got two faces facing each other. And I could just kind of, there I got that. Now what I will probably do, and I won't do it now, but I'm going to take some ink, and I'm going to use just some watercolor, and I'm just going to do a very dramatic black ink using this pigmented ink, because if I used water-based ink where it re-wet, you know, you could re-wet it and it dissolves. You want pigmented, permanent, waterproof ink to do this. I'm just going to go around and just kind of bring out just the outline and the silhouette of these faces. And then, because then I'll have this interesting shape that looks like a vase or something like that. So that could be a journal page that I'll work on, and we'll see what our prompts are today. And you never know, there could be a story from that. So basically another layer of background. I've got a nice start of a background on a story that's going to unfold whenever it's supposed to. So that's that one. And let's do, I wanted to share with you two different kinds of, well, yeah, two different kinds. This is from a magazine. This is a Vogue magazine. So I've got, for some reason, I'm onto this black and white thing this week, but I like the idea of simplifying with just one color. It doesn't have to be black, it could be brown, it could be any color, but just kind of keeping the colors simple would be, it's just kind of a fun thing to do. So what I'm going to do is first show you the magazine transfer. So what you do is you need any kind of gel, any medium, like a soft gel, or if you have this soft gel gloss, Golden recommends this is the best for doing these types of transfers, but I find that you can even use all kinds of goodies. Okay, there you go. You can use the soft gel, you can use PVA glue, you could use any liquid medium. Probably the thinner mediums are better. If you have a pouring medium, probably will work. Something that's an acrylic medium. So this one I'm just going to use, I'm just going to do it right now. This is called a direct transfer. So you just take the medium and you brush it over the image. You can also brush it onto your surface. So I'm going to do that as well. And I just want to kind of make it even as possible. And I want it to kind of soak into the fibers of the paper because, and of course, a magazine page is pretty thin, so it should soak pretty well, but there is an emulsion that we want to lift off. So I'm going to put a little bit of that, the emulsion, or the medium onto my paper. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. And this is a gloss medium, so I'm going to close that up, and now I'm going to just stick it on top of, right on top. And I'm going to put it upside down, and I'm going to smooth it out. Now I don't know if I have my little burnishing tool with me or not. If you want to smooth it out as much as you can, get it on there. And I didn't put it on straight, but that's the imperfection of the journal. I'm just going to smooth it out. And I could actually let it sit for a little bit. And it's probably, if you have a burnishing tool or bone folder will work, just something to get it onto the nice, oops, that wasn't good. See, I just pulled it off before it was ready. So what you want is you want to be able to transfer it, but this is going to make it imperfect. I've noticed my journal, this journal wants to wrinkle like a crazy. So I'm just going to let that sit. So I notice it's not ready. Obviously, if it was ready, it would be, you would have seen the print underneath. So I'm just going to let that sit and let that hole stay there. And what you need to do is just kind of, I can even put some more over it, but I'm just going to let that sit for a bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to do the other. So I'm going to if I just start to lift it up, and I think I probably didn't put enough of the stuff on. But there we go. See, I'm lifting it up, and you can see it's starting to stick on the page. And so I'm going to just let it sit a little bit longer. You just kind of let it, no longer than 15 minutes though, because I don't want to leave it for too much longer. So I'm just going to do this other, let's do it in this page. So we've got this one started. I'll just turn the page. And then this one is this is a solvent-based transfer. I'm going to use, you can use acetone, which if you have that, 100% just nail polish remover. It's stinky, but if you're worried about getting your fingers or anything, you don't want to have it on your hands, obviously, then put some gloves on. I also have something, this is called it's an ad marker. It's very stinky as well. It tells you what's in it. It has bad stuff in it. So in a well-ventilated room, or just or a fan if you have a fan or something. But I know that lots of people do this, and it doesn't seem to, they're not worried about it, but I do worry about stuff like that. So just to use caution when you're using something like this, especially on a large image. If you're using a tiny image, like I do have some small, let me find another, I did have some small pictures, here we go. Now if I'm just doing a small picture like this, then it's not so bad. But when you use the large, if you're going to transfer a large image, you will need to kind of be cautious. And I'm just going to do it because I want you to see. Now I'm going to do this because it's just cleaner, but like I said, you can use nail polish remover. You could use Citrusolve, which is not a bad thing to breathe. Citrusolve is something that you can use, people use it to remove adhesive. It's made out of a citrus material. Same thing, you can do the image transfer with that. So I could either keep my hands, this is a large image. Normally you should probably tape it down, but I'm just gonna hold it with my hand. I may not transfer the whole image. I'm just gonna show you how it's done. So I'm just putting this marker over, and it's not, there we go. I want it to be juicy because it needs to soak into the image. So I'm seeing the image coming through on this side. And the more I rub into it, the better it transfers. This is actually a picture I did. I was part of a gallery group. We called ourselves Circle of 6½. And there's this rubber glove up there. That was somebody who joined but didn't show up half the time. So we call it Circle of 6½. Because the seventh person just wasn't very active. So we had really wonderful shows and had a really great time showing our work and selling, and it was really a nice, beautiful time. So I've got a little picture of me in there when I was only 28 years old. Oh my gosh. So this brings back so many memories when I was much younger and much like 20 pounds lighter. So you can see I'm actually transferring the image, and what I can do is rub, same thing, rub. The more rubbing you do, the more you will have a better transfer. So, and also the paper makes a difference, the paper texture. I haven't taped it down, so it is shifting a lot, and it's wrinkled, but I'm just gonna like, and it's okay if it's rough, because then you have a basic, oh, I'm getting a little whew from that. I'm gonna close that. I'm just gonna stop right there. And the reason I'm stopping is I got the image, the basic image going. And what I've done on many of these where they're kind of rough, that means the paper's got more tooth, and so it's a little harder. That's okay, because I can use my pen, I can use watercolors, and these images, they look really, and as it dries, when the solvent dries or evaporates off of this, it will become more clear. So that's a great way to do the transfer on that one. So here we go on this one. Let's see what's going on. Now this, I'm hoping that I'm able to lift a little bit, and it looks like it's doing good. So what now is the time you take, I'm gonna just get some protection so that I don't totally mess up all the other pages of my journal. And now I'm just gonna spritz it just a little bit with water. And I'm just gonna kind of rub, kind of get that, I want that backing to kind of soften. And with magazines, it's a little weirder, because magazines, and this is a messy job, but oh, is it fun. It's like finger painting. So I'm just gonna gently, and I'm already pulling off the backing just a little bit. And I've gotta be very gentle when I do this. And I should have brought my baby wipes. But see, I'm just peeling off the layer, that paper layer. And basically you want to peel, you just want to do it. And this is very mindful. I mean, I'm just going to take my time. And I'm seeing that image, there it is, there she is. And just take your time when you do this. And paper towels would be nice to have, or if you want to, there we go. It's nice when it comes off in nice big sheets like that. There we go. So now I'm just peeling it off. That didn't stick, but that did. So I didn't probably put enough medium down. But that's okay. The imperfectness is what makes it really interesting. So you basically want to get all the paper off, and see, this is coming off nice and clean. And then what you have is you're going to just have the printed emulsion of your paper, just like this. So there it is. And you can tell when this paper's all off, and you don't want to go too far, because then you'll go into you'll rub off the emulsion, but you'll see it. And then you can have, this is where I tore it, so it's not going to look very good. But what I'll have is this really distressed looking thing, and it will be, then I can work around it, and we'll see. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with it this week. I've got basically I have another background, another foundation of something I'm going to be creating. So let's see how it's coming off there. That's perfect. That's the way it should do it. So as you do this, you'll notice on your whatever journal page you have, I wouldn't recommend this for really thin papers. So if you have a thinner journal, you can do this on a sheet of watercolor paper, or a little thicker, something a little thicker, and then you can just glue it into your journal. So you don't have to do it directly into your journal, especially if it can be kind of scary. Like I'm doing something that's kind of scary, but that's okay, because it's my journal. So there she is, she's coming through. And it's stuck really nicely, where the thick areas were. So that, and also the drying time. So you really want to have, that's at under 15 minute time. Now that is where I tore it, and it's not gonna stick. So that's that. That's all right. So this is just a process, and I see it didn't stick on that side, but there was really no emulsion there at all. So I'll keep playing with this, and you can go back to it. You can always spray more water on it. And then once it's all done, let's say you find an image that you like, it's all the way you love it. You wait for it to dry completely, and you'll know where you need to remove more paper backing, because this like I can see there's all the paper backing's not off. So I've kind of got that at least at a place where pretty much the magazine is off. I don't feel the actual magazine page anymore. I just feel a little extra residue of paper. And I got a big, nice, beautiful tear, but it kind of looks like a fish. So maybe I'll draw a fish, like she caught some big fish or something. Make it work. We'll figure it out. So then I'll just do another little transfer. If you want to start small, so that's pretty. I'll wait for that to dry, and then I can remove more of that paper backing. Now with this one, I just want to do a little quick thing. So here I've got this blurry image here, and if I want to take, let's say if you want to just do a shape, like you want to get a more sort of a, and this could be a collage. I mean, I could just glue this straight onto the journal page, but it's kind of fun to cut it out and make, you know, a much more defined transfer. I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to do it right wherever I want to, maybe here. Now you'll notice too, if you're doing images, you're going to have, everything gets flipped. So anything with text, obviously the text will be backwards. So just have that in mind. But if you do want to do transfer text, you can actually flip it in your printer program, flip it, and then it prints backwards, and then it will transfer just fine on there. So for a smaller image, you'll see that it will be a lot easier to make a nice transfer. Plus also making sure it's not lifting up too much, like I just made it lift. You can put a piece of tape down and maybe have it, instead of like right now I'm doing a one that's cut out, so I'm trying to get to that shape on the outside, but let's see how that looks. I'm just going to lift it with my bone folder. In this paper, I'm going to try this on a different paper, and you'll see you can get much cleaner images on a different kind of paper. And I'll show you right now. I'm going to go to my smoother paper, and I'll show you. So this one, it just came out. The image, the outline's there. I can see the face and stuff, so I can start to work with that. But if, let's say I want to do this in this book. This book has, can't wait to work on that page. This book has, let's try it on this one. I think maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's not really done. I don't want to do it in there. But I'm going to do it in here. Just, why not? I'll just get another page started. Well, maybe the bird will be something that, I'm noticing that's starting to dry a little bit. But I'm just going to show you the difference, how it transfers when you're using a smooth paper versus a textured paper. This is just plain old, it's like a paper blanks journal that I was a date book, and I decided to start journaling in it. And that's just a nice way to upcycle or recycle your journals. Instead of throwing them away, why not try to use them to do artwork into? And then you can also go back and you have memories of things you've done in the years past. So let's just get that nice, and then I'm just gonna close that up, get that, and then I'm gonna rub it just enough to keep, while that solvent is wet. This should be a lot clearer, I'm hoping. Yes, there's my little beautiful bird. It's very clear now, and I think that'll be a really fun something. Maybe I'll try to do something really simple with that. So that is the demo, and then what I want to do is pull the cards, because the writing about, or just having something to work on as a prompt really just seems to get I hope it helps you just to create a story based on these cards or just a visual. So I've got, oh, this is interesting. Very appropriate. So we've got these two cards. Here's a story. It's one, this is firefighter. So write that down, firefighter and dinner with the family. Wow. So this is a wonderful, now that's with the Storymatic. So we've got firefighter and dinner with the family. Now I'm gonna pull a card from, I'm just gonna pull it from here. Okay, just from the top, why not? So we have feel the ground. There you go. So we've got those, feel the ground, that's one. And firefighter and dinner with family. Those are the prompts for this week. If there's anything, I'm trying to think of what else we could do. Oh, also, if you, for this week, just try doing the basic shapes and the shading with one color or a pencil only. Maybe just kind of stick to a monochromatic theme. It would be fun to just kind of challenge yourself. I wanted to show you the rubbings that I had made with this rice paper. And I'm going to use the tear, I've got, it's rice paper, and then I'm going to tear and do some collage. But just doing something like that was just so much fun because it gave me, it was a very physical event, just getting into it with the pencil and on these rubbing plates. And I bought these rubbing plates, but if you don't have rubbing plates, you can use anything like screens and anything. You could even, like, I could even use the side of this jar and create a rubbing. So like, let's say, if you have some rice paper, that would be great. You can actually just, with a pencil, you can, anything with texture. You can even put a pair of scissors down and, create a rubbing with that. So I found that I was able to do rubbing on this paper, but I had to really push it. I don't remember which, oh, it was with the smaller journal. I just want to show you it. I think it was, this one was a rubbing, but you can't see it. So, but I'm going to work on this and create some more layers. And this one, as it's drying, now I see where I need to lift off more. White, that is the paper backing. But once this is completely lifted and I can see that is all ready to go. And it'll be fun working in a monochromatic, just black ink, black and white images, pencil, black, graphite pencils. This would be a fun thing just to kind of simplify and move the kind of, make the your contrasts instead of color, but just doing a monochromatic theme this week would be really fun.